Hi, it's Steve here, and as you've probably guessed, since I'm standing in an airport, I'm off on another press trip. This time it's the Panasonic European Convention, and actually this year it's their 100th anniversary as well, so I'm expecting quite an impressive do this time around. And in fact, good signs starting off with, the last 3 or 4 years they've held the convention in Frankfurt, but this year it's in Mallorca, so I'm leaving sunny but decidedly cold England for, well, slightly warmer but actually quite wet Mallorca. Now, in case you're thinking this is all champagne and caviar, I should point out that the flight is on EasyJet. But anyway, I'm going to go through security and I shall catch up again with you once I've done all that stuff and I'll go and find myself a coffee. Well, I got through security, which was relatively painless actually, and I'm now going to take part in the age-old tradition of finding the PR person and getting myself some breakfast. Apparently they're in Giraffe, so I'm now going to search for Giraffe and hopefully find them and then have some brekkie. So let's go and find Giraffe, shall we? There is no Giraffe in Gatwick Airport. Turns out I was given duff information. They are in fact in Jamie's Italian. So let's go there instead, shall we? So I finally made it to Jamie's Italian, where I am joined by the cream of UK tech journalism and also Claire from Panasonic, who is the head of marketing and will be handling this trip for us and taking good care of us, no doubt. So I'm going to have a bacon butty and a coffee now, and then hopefully we'll get on the plane. Although I've just heard that it's delayed, of course. And here's the room, and very nice it is too. I've got to say the wood panelling in the hallway did remind me of a Swedish sauna, but this room is very nice and well apportioned and laid out. No balcony unfortunately, but looking at the weather I don't think I'm going to get much chance to use a balcony anyway. So I'm going to get freshened up now, and then we should begin with a few drinks. I think originally they were going to have drinks on the rooftop terrace of the hotel, ready for the 100th anniversary celebrations, but obviously the weather's put paid to that, so I guess we'll be having a drink somewhere else in the bar. But yes, so far so good on my trip to the Panasonic convention and their 100th celebration. So 100 years of Panasonic. Let's see what they've got lined up in terms of entertainment. Usually they have some pretty good stuff, things like big lunches, big dinners, a big grand dinner, along with all the presentations, and of course we get a look at all the products as well, of course, which is the real reason that we're here. So so far so good. At least we're finally in Mallorca. Yes, it was a bit of a delay trip, but I like the room, I like the hotel, and it's just a shame about the weather. And there's the view from the hotel bedroom window of sunny Mallorca. Somewhat optimistically I brought my sunglasses along, but it doesn't look like I'll be needing those, so I guess they'll be sitting in their box for the next couple of days. That's more like it. The sun's out now, and I'm about to head downstairs to interview Monsieur Abadi, who is the European head of Panasonic. So time to start doing some work. The reason that I was interviewing Monsieur Abadi was to talk about their centenary. Panasonic is 100 years old this year. It was started in 1918, and there is a really interesting exhibition here as part of the event, showing their entire history, going back through from 1918 and the first products that they made, all the way up to the most recent products that they make. So I thought it'd be fun to give you a little guided tour of their product range, going back in time, all the way back to 1918. So here we are right at the beginning, 1918, when Panasonic's journey started, and their first product, here we go, is a two-way electric socket. Now, it may not sound, particularly exciting now, but it was actually quite revolutionary at the time. They've also got a bullet-shaped light here and a square-shaped light here. So they started off basically making lights back in 1918, but that didn't last for long because they soon moved on to batteries. And you can see here they've got their first in-house dry cell battery from 1931, and more recently they've got a 2016 cylindrical lithium-ion battery. So batteries are a big thing for Panasonic now. They're basically, as you can see here up on the board, it's telling they partnered with Tesla Motors to make batteries for cars. Moving on, we've got a 1931 3-tube radio and 2017 voice-controlled speaker. So you can see how things have changed over the years. Over here we have, look at that, a black and white TV from 1952, good old school, and plenty of wood, big knobs on the front, tiny little screen. You imagine that used to be considered large. And next to it, they have a 2018 FZ800 OLED TV that we saw actually at its launch in LA back in the beginning of January. Over here, direct drive turntable, the SP10 from 1970, and also a 2017 direct drive turntable, the SL1200GR. And look at this. A great big old school VHS tape deck. I remember these top loaders. Yeah, this is from 1977, and then of course next to it they have their most recent Blu-ray player, Ultra HD Blu-ray player, the UB420, coming out this year. And finally, we got a video camera from 1982, good old school massive home video camera, and next to it is a GH5, which we actually use for our videos. So there you go, GH5. There you go, a quick whistle-stop tour through Panasonic's history for the last 100 years. Very interesting. Well, Panasonic are now serving up a rather nice buffet lunch. It's about 12:30. In half an hour, we start the plenary. So basically, this is when it kicks off for real. And yes, it's that word again, plenary. I looked up in the dictionary. Apparently, it's a meeting and/or presentation, and that's what we're going to get. Basically, a presentation followed by a look at all their new products. So, as you can see, quite a nice layout here in terms of buffet food, hot food, cold food, and some rather nice desserts that I've already tucked into. Rather nice chocolate mousse, actually. And yeah, this is an important part of any press trip, basically feeding all the assembled journalists, which are, in this case, from all over Europe. Actually, hundreds and hundreds of journalists here on this trip. And as you can see, things have definitely picked up weather-wise. It's a bit windy out here on the balcony, but as you can see, it's a glorious day. The sun is shining, and yeah, no, I mean, these trips can be, sometimes they can be a hassle, but sometimes they can be quite good fun too, and this is definitely one of the more fun ones, in a nice location. Yesterday, when it was pouring down, it didn't look quite so attractive, but today, it looks absolutely delightful. And it's a shame we've got to go and sit in a darkened room for the next few hours, really. So here we are in the amphitheatre and ready for the plenary, and there's even a countdown clock which tells you when it's about to start. 2 minutes and 13 seconds to go, and then we'll find out all about this year's lineup from Panasonic. The main purpose of this convention, aside from celebrating the 100th birthday, is to show their products. Up here on the top floor we have Technics, and then down here you can probably see this is everything else, TVs, cameras, the whole lot. So I thought what I'll do is I'll start from one end and then walk across to the other, giving you a speeded up view of the entire convention floor. Never mind the products, this is the important bit, the gala dinner. And here we have the pumpkin cream with croutons and vegetable timbal. Very tasty it is too. And now we have beef sirloin with potato gratin, baby vegetables and truffle sauce. Yum yum. And now we have what I can best describe as a deconstructed crumble. Sorry, cheesecake. I shot quite a lot of footage at last night's gala dinner, but it was really loud. I mean, so loud you could hardly hear the person talking next to you, which made it difficult to do any actual audio. But hopefully the footage gives you an idea of what it's like at one of these dinners. A big, grand venue. I've got to say that was quite impressive. A massive, huge venue full of tables and a 3-course meal, and they're always the same. It's always like a starter that's basically soup, and then they throw in some beef and potatoes in some form, and then a dessert, usually cheesecake, and that's pretty much what we got last night. And I kind of think, like, why didn't they do something, you know, maybe we're on Mallorca, which is an island, perhaps more seafood based would have been nice, or even a Japanese meal, given that it's Panasonic and their 100th birthday. But it was a big bash. The singer was, I think she's possibly one of the worst singers I've ever heard doing the show, but there was some interesting dancing, some flamenco, of course. We're in Spain, and it was a fun night. Just a bit unoriginal. Like, I guess unfortunately these things are always planned to appeal to the most people. You know, you've got a large crowd of people. You don't want to go too esoteric in terms of food, but I don't want to sound ungrateful. I did have a great time. It is really fun, but yeah, it would be nice to sort of see something a little bit different. Anyway, that was the gala dinner, and that's pretty much it now. I mean, I'm going to head off, have some breakfast, and then head off to the airport and fly back. So I will catch back again. I'll be back again with some more footage when I get to the airport, just to round out my thoughts on the whole trip. But for now, I'm going to go and stuff my face. So here I am in a surprisingly empty Mallorca airport, towards the end of the trip now, waiting for our EasyJet flight back to the UK, so this is pretty much the end of it. Obviously we're going to be doing a separate video actually talking about the products at the convention, so I thought what I would talk about briefly at the end here is the 100th anniversary, which there was a presentation before the actual gala dinner last night, and I have to say that was really interesting. There was, they had a presentation about the life of the founder of Panasonic, whose name was Matsushita, which is why it's called that in Japan. The company's still called that in Japan, the brand name is still Panasonic. It went through the history of it, setting up in 1918. Obviously there was the Great Depression, World War II. We had to rebuild his company again in the late 40s, early 50s, building it into one of the biggest corporations in the world. So that was actually really interesting, and the whole philosophy that Panasonic has towards building a better life, I actually found that quite noble in many respects, and that was genuinely interesting. And then after that they had some woman come on to talk about the future, and I don't know about her, but her future didn't involve hoverboards or flying cars, so I was rather disappointed in that bit. But yeah, it's been an interesting trip. I obviously wish them the best in terms of their anniversary. I think it's been a challenging 100 years for any company, but I do think that Panasonic still makes some very interesting products, and I did like the look of their TV line. I know we'll talk about that in another video, but as centenary anniversaries go and celebrations, the gala dinner was fun. The whole event was great, and this is Steve Withers at Mallorca Airport, waiting for his plane home, signing off. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it interesting, and if you have, then please like and subscribe, and obviously thanks for watching.